Hello, everybody. It's Graham Cofe with another My Music. It's your favourite day of the week and probably ours. It's Friday. That's because you get to listen to us and put your work away for 5 minutes. Go on, do it. Whilst you're sitting there thinking about what you're going to do next, other than listen to us, I'm going to play you this little video and then I'm going to come back and speak to Dave here. Oh, there. That's about as much energy as you can possibly cope with on a Friday, isn't it? That video. Dave Jackson, thank you so much for joining me.
I am.
Were you always a Dave? Did your mum and dad call you Dave or David?
Well, David, yeah. Then Dave.
When did it become Dave? Did you insist
Probably
on that
at school?
Yeah. I was asking people online yesterday, actually, whether or not they were given nicknames at school. Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah, but it was just Jacko, yeah. Which
Jacko, yeah.
Yeah, so I preferred Dave.
Yeah. I had a friend called Jacko, come to think of it. When did music start permeating into your life?
When did I start listening to music? Probably when I was very, very young, listening to cowboy songs.
Cowboy
Ghost
songs.
Riders in the Sky was the first song I learned to sing when I was about 4.
Oh wow, that's fantastic! Were your parents musical at all, or did they listen? Did they listen to music?
Particularly, my mum used to sing on the way to nursery school, singing in the rain and things like that.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Singing in the rain.
Yeah.
Did she do the dance as well around the sort of
Not
the lamppost? Get out of the street, Mum.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a vision. That's a vision for a Friday.
Yeah.
When did music start to really mean something to you? Where you thought, okay, there's a pulling power here that I can't kind of let go of.
I suppose in my kind of early teens, I think I remember sagging off school to go and get tickets to go and see Led Zeppelin at the Liverpool Empire. In the days when you didn't have to queue up online for years or whatever.
Or not actually, you'd never get tickets.
Yeah, I just took the afternoon off school with a friend and we went and queued outside the Empire and got tickets.
Life was so much simpler then, wasn't it? Yeah. Imagine, yeah. And even touts didn't they were real. They were real people.
Exactly. Hanging around outside. Yeah,
exactly. If you wanted a ticket, you could actually get it.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that like then? Seeing Led Zeppelin.
It was amazing. I mean, they didn't have a support band. I think must have been a warm up. Somebody told me recently that it was a warm up for an American tour. A friend who was also there.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my mate we were right at the back of the Empire, which is an old kind of theatre or whatever, and we were getting into our seats, and the drum intro to Rock and Roll started.
And just knocked you off your seat. Yeah. Bless. Wow, Bonham, what a drummer indeed.
Yeah.
Who was it then that you were in those early days of listening? Who was it that sort of defined for you perhaps where you would want to go with music?
I don't know. I mean, I listened to T-Rex a lot and Roxy Music and David Bowie and stuff like that. and then later, later, kind of Lou Reed and Velvet Underground and stuff like that. Yeah.
What transitioned you into? I mean, there's a natural transition there because obviously
one of the things was I remember buying Marquee Moon when it first came out, and it was round about the time that I'd been thinking about, in an ideal world, I'd like to be in a band kind of thing, but
yeah.
I didn't actually play anything, so yeah.
I don't really. That's the thing, though, isn't it? If you don't play something, you can get the thought in your head for a long while. How can I possibly do this? How can I make music?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah,
what
I used
was
to
it?
write lyrics down and stuff like
Right.
that for imaginary songs that
That hopefully one day somebody would ask you to do.
Yeah. To a certain
Yeah.
degree.
I had the kind of sympathy with that because that's what I did. I wrote lyrics for ages, and I was kind of always into poetry writing at school and things like. And I never actually meant to be a singer.
Yeah.
I just stumbled into it because I had words, and somebody I knew had a guitar. Was it kind of a bit like that for you?
I was at art college. That was the other thing I was interested in, was kind of painting. So I was doing a foundation course in fine art, and then I suppose because it was round about the time that punk was happening, it became possible to do the band thing, and I met Becky at an art college dance, and she was learning to play the bass. Her sister was learning to play the saxophone, and she had a friend called Philippa, a school friend called Philippa, who played rhythm guitar, and we started off learning kind of Suffragette City and Vicious and songs like that. And then one of my friends from our college, this guy Steve Cockrell, joined us on lead guitar, and we got another guy, Paul Hornby, on drums, and we formed our first band, played our first gig at a kind of heavy metal bar, and we were totally the worst band they'd ever had on. And then the second gig was at Eric's, which was Liverpool's kind of punk club. And
do you know what? There was so much of that went on back in the day.
Yeah,
it was hilarious. Well, I mean, I was in an indie band, and we got signed to a punk label.
Yeah.
And it was quite heavy punk as well. And, we used to get put on at gigs with people doing quite heavy punk.
Yeah.
It was like, and then we'd come on and jangle a bit. And, and people would just go like, what? And then the tables would start flying. I mean, it was kind of one of those things, wasn't it? I mean, I love that whole period, really. I love the fact that, in a way, that when you and I were creating music back in the day, that there wasn't quite so much business stuff to music. I mean, there were people, with the bands that were big, etc. Obviously, there was, that was big business, but youngsters these days that are starting out, they all understand the business side of things almost first, as much as they do the music side of things. Whereas, so many of us kind of stumbled into music. We thought this was a cool thing. Yeah. And as you say, I did art as well, and I was, if you were in a kind of art space, it was a great. There was the opportunity because people had a bit of time and there was the right people around you. But it was not like it's not like now when everybody's like, and what we've got to do is we've got to do this, and then we've got to do that, and it's like, okay, can you play that? Oh yeah, I'm kind of learning. Well, you're in.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it was kind of a chance to have fun, really, and explore what
Exactly.
Yeah.
Paul's listening. Paul's a massive music fan.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, Paul. Thanks for listening in. When you first started getting together with the band and writing, did you find you had a kind of natural talent for the music side of things as well, having not been, not learnt an instrument, not being a musician, etc.? But did you feel that you actually had quite a natural gravitas towards actually constructing music as well?
I think early on it was finding a route through a riff, if you know what I mean. So kind of a melody line through a riff, and I started off trying to writing the words first and trying to squeeze words in that didn't fit, and then eventually learned that it might be better to get the melody line first and then kind of construct it out of that, if you know.
So you became a bit more au fait with singing and construction because you realised that it was hard work the other way round.
Yeah.
Typically,
and then eventually, I did get to a stage where I could write the song in my head and sing it to someone, and get them to pick up the chords, and we'd work like that as well, which is another way of doing stuff,
Yeah. In terms of the room, you've put the room back together. It's been quite a hiatus.
It has. It's been. Yeah. I mean, what happened was I was at a previous band, which was with another ex-Room member, the Room in the Wood, which I did with Paul Cavanagh, and we put our last album out with the Martians Now just as COVID hit.
Yeah.
And during that time, I think Paul decided that he didn't want to play music that much anymore. So, and then I was approached by this guy, Darren Brown, whose band Decibel wanted me to do a guest vocal on one of their tracks. So I did that. And then we just got talking about stuff, and he sent me kind of guitar ideas, and I wrote lyrics for it. We started rehearsing, and then he suggested getting Becky to rejoin.
Oh, you see,
band.
Sneaky.
Becky came back with Ethan, and we did our very first gig at Shine On, and we used the name The Room because the Room in the Wood had been booked to play, and Paul didn't want to do it. So I got in touch with him and said, we'll play as The Room. And we played Things Have Learned to Walk That Ought to Crawl for the first time since about 1983.
Wow.
With a drum machine and a bunch of new stuff that we were working.
Did you have to have the words?
And then we decided that we'd record an album and we'd go out as The Room. And interestingly enough, when we played 27th of January, our kind of album launch gig in Liverpool, our original drummer, Clive, came up to the gig to watch us and is now going to rejoin the band.
There you go.
So we've got three quarters of the original.
It's amazing how these things happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think it was partly kind of just the right time as well? I mean, in terms of the music scene in England at the moment, that certainly slightly more push towards a more alternative sound, independent scene, etc. Was it almost just the right time? Were people kind of hankering after The Room, having kind of discovered it again?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when we played because I had no clue, how many people would turn up or what the response would be. But I think the gig in Liverpool went well, and then we played in Manchester, and that was pretty full though. It's a small venue, but
I've seen quite a number of bands kind of getting back together, or it's kind of it's kind of not getting back together, is it? It's just resurfacing after a long time of doing other stuff. I mean, that's what people forget, is that it's not like you sat away in a corner for 30 years doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know, you've been busy doing other things, but there's certainly I think the right opportunity for bands of that period to come back again now. And as I say, people are starting to discover. One of the things that's great about digital music is people are beginning to discover stuff that was out a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, the Nightingales have put out more albums since they reformed than they did the first time round.
Well, and it's part of that as well. I mean, are you quite enjoying the fact that, you know, music can be made in a slightly different way? I mean, because when you first made this music, going back into the 80s, presumably this was all on tape.
Yeah. I mean, because the first thing that we put out was we put out 2 singles on our own label and a cassette album, which we've just finally made available on Bandcamp for the first time as a digital download. Yeah, I mean, when we were doing the cassette album, we had to actually, before we discovered tape copiers, we had to go around to our guitarist's house who had a reel-to-reel and physically kind of in real time copy each individual cassette. Before we sent
those were the days.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, what did you used to record on? You know, right
when we recorded, we for that thing we did a single in Eel Pie in some downtime with a guy called Ricky Sylvain, who had a band called Ricky and the Last Days of Earth or something like that.
It's a great name.
And we basically recorded the A and B side in kind of about 4 hours, recorded and mixed it, and then took it to Porky Prime Cuts, got it cut there. And then it went off to the pressing plant, and we had to wait 2 months because we got put at the back of the queue kind of thing, because we only wanted 1,000 copies. But that got kind of played on John Peel, and he also advertised the cassette off the back of it.
Yeah.
And other tracks on the cassette some were recorded at some place down south. This guy came up to see us and said he put us in the studio to record some demos, and we recorded the demos, and he wouldn't let us have a mix of them until we signed a management deal with him. And the engineers kind of whispered something to our drummer, and we went, "Oh, all right." So the guy left, and then we went back in, and they remixed the 4 songs for us and gave us copies of it, which we ended up putting out on the album. And I think we recorded in another local studio, SOS.
SOS. Yeah. Remember that. We'll come to Paul's question in a minute. Have you got any gigs planned? But yeah, let me just pick up on the comment about John Peel, because that's a shame, isn't it, for anybody out these days? Yeah. They are never going to be able to get played by John Peel. What was that like when you first heard yourself being played by John Peel?
It was, well, the first time he phoned me up, and said, "Do you mind if I play 4 tracks off your cassette album as a session, and we'll get you in?"
Mind?
Yeah, kind of thing. And so he played that, and then the next time we went down with that version of the room. We went down twice to Maida Vale and recorded with Dale Griffin.
Yeah,
and then the next version of the room, which was kind of a different guitarist and drummer, and we didn't play any of the old songs kind of thing. We went down and recorded again, and Peel put that out as a Strange Fruit thing, the last session we did with the room. So it was, and then you
actually became, you actually struck a proper relationship with John Peel.
Yeah, we played on one of his road shows in Liverpool at the university with a band called the Electro Hippies. in, I don't know, 80 something with Benny. That was with Benny Profane, I think, because we did 3 sessions with him for Benny Profane as well. So
that's the thing about John Peel. I mean, he just truly loved his music.
Yeah,
you know, absolutely loved it. And it's just the state. What do you think of the state of modern radio? I personally, it's like.
I mean, I don't listen to. I mean, Gideon Coase played us on his show a couple of times, but it's kind of odd, isn't it? It's become kind of institutionalized in a weird way that they've got playlists.
Well, they all own each other now.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. It just seems kind of a bit odd, that.
I find it strange in a way that we kind of accept it as people. That's the funny thing as consumers, but we do accept it as consumers. There must be something in there where I'd love to study it, but there must be something in the human psyche for lots of people where they just find comfort in the fact that they turn the radio on at 7 o'clock every morning, and it's for a whole week. It's the same song at 7 o'clock. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
But for me, it just drives me mad.
Yeah, I don't actually listen to the radio. I mean, so it's kind of
other than independent radio. Sometimes, I tune into something that's on the internet that where people can actually choose what their music is that they're playing. I can't move on. What? Let's go back to Paul's question. So, have you got any gigs planned? Are there any gigs going forward?
We're hoping to do. We've got one on the 26th of March in Liverpool, but it's just a short-ish thing. It's a memorial for a friend.
Right.
We're doing something. And then we're hoping to arrange as many gigs as possible. At the moment, we've been using a drummer, the guy who played on the album, Tom, but he's kind of busy with other projects and stuff. So we're rehearsing next week with Clive for the first time in 30 odd years.
Well, perhaps you should do what I had a band on yesterday called The Shop Window, and I thought their plan was pretty cool, really. That what they've done is they've booked the last festival of the summer, to give themselves time to get ready, which I thought was wonderful.
I don't think it'll take as long to be ready to do stuff. Yeah, it's just we need to get organised and get some gigs around the country.
So, for anyone that hasn't heard it yet, tell us a little bit about the new album. How much of a departure has it been from older material in terms of this new album?
I think it's closer to the earlier version of The Room to a certain degree.
You've gone back to your roots. So.
Yeah, but obviously it's changed significantly because we've absorbed all kinds of different influences and
but word-wise, do you feel like you're writing as a man of a certain age now?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Lyrically, it's maybe less naive or maybe more naive. I don't
That's an interest. That's the big question, isn't it?
It's whether you get wiser as you get older.
Do we get wiser, or actually are we wiser when we're younger?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we came from a more naive time anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's like whenever I watch like any kind of reel of anything that was going on culture-wise in the 1980s, for example. You think about it, when we sat down and all watched, the whole globe watched Live Aid, for example. And we all thought, we're doing something, and then realized afterwards that actually, third world debt is a subject that's so much bigger than raising a load of money and sending it to the other side of the world. We kind of were quite naive about a lot of stuff. And I guess the internet is partly to play from the fact that we're now not so naive, because we just know now.
Yeah.
We know what's happening on the other side of the world. So, but I think, I don't know, there was something to say for being that naive at the time, and maybe for being empowered by the fact that we felt that we could change the world. Do you look for smaller wins in life these days?
I suppose so. Yeah.
Like being able to get your website to work.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've managed to. I think the problem with the room in the wood thing is that we were talking about earlier is that I've kind of locked myself out, but I think Ulrich himself is also locked out. So we've got a kind of phantom website.
If anyone techie is watching, by the way, and would just like to spare Dave 30 minutes just to get him sorted out, that would be great. You know, show your expertise. Oh no, thank you for coming on and having the chat today.
Yeah.
If people want to re-explore the room and your music, where's the best place for them to go?
There is we are on Bandcamp as kind of the room and the room in the wood. There's 9x9 Records, which is our label, and we've got video on YouTube of the single off the album The Drift.
Yeah, which is a really great video as well.
Yeah,
who did the video for you?
A guy called Mark Jordan. He was in a band called Send No Flowers years ago. He's really good. And he works with a guy called Yorkie, who used to be in Space, and that band called The Balcony. And he's got a project called Moon Goose.
There's some great names out there, aren't there? Just remembering them all.
I think we're going to have another video out soon called Sleepless that Mark Jordan's done as well.
Oh, Paul's found you. There you go.
Oh, okay.
He's found you.
Cool.
He's there. He's downloading stuff as we speak. Success. This is what it's all about. It's all about. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for coming in and talking a little bit about your life in music today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
I look forward to perhaps seeing you if you get out on tour at some point.
Yeah.
If you ever make it down to the southwest, I'll come and see you.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely.
Lovely.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
Everybody, this has been Dave from The Room. Do check out their music, and if you've enjoyed this, there's more of this later on as I talk to Spray later on today. Do subscribe and all of that malarkey. If you're technical, if you're not, don't worry. Some of us old people can't manage that, but don't worry, it's fine. You watch this anyway, and that I'm very, very grateful. Until next time, bye for now.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, Dave. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.